We cannot get all the credit. We're just the messenger.
You took a shepherd boy and made him a king.
Loving God by serving people, praising Him all day.
Realized He has ransomed me. His grace runs deep.
You're listening to Where Truth Matters, and here I promise that you will find raw, honest, and undiluted gospel truth. My name is Colin Don, and welcome. On this episode, I want to talk about destroying your high places. And I want to zoom in on the gods of Egypt, the idols that greatly offended God when His people or children, Israel, worshipped them, the altars that were built in the days gone by, and the narrative found in Exodus where God Himself destroyed these idols. Now, the Bible refers to the gods of Egypt, particularly in the context of the Exodus narrative, where Yahweh, or the God of Israel, demonstrated His supremacy over them through the 10 plagues. Now we find this in Exodus chapter 7 all the way to chapter number 12. The phrase here, against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment, implies that these deities were seen as powerless compared to Yahweh. Have a look at Exodus chapter 12 verses 12. So while the Bible does not name them, we can connect the plagues to specific Egyptian deities based on their domains of influence, and these we understand from historical and also archaeological evidence of ancient Egypt religion. So I want to share a list of these Egyptian gods commonly associated with the plagues in biblical scholarship, and then it's inferred from their prominence in Egyptian culture back then and also the nature of these plagues. I'm going to explain why the Egyptians worshipped them based on their roles in Egyptian society and religion, and then also, or again, drawing from historical context. So first there was Hapi, or Hapi, and he was the god of the Nile River and its annual flooding. Now, this was associated with fertility and abundance. Why was Hapi worshipped? The Nile was the lifeblood of Egypt, and it provided water, fish, and fertile soil for agriculture in that day. So Hapi, or this false god, was revered as the sustainer of life and prosperity, ensuring the land's fertility through the annual inundation. Now the first plague, which turns the Nile into blood, as seen in Exodus 7 verses 14, directly undermines Hapi's supposed power over the river, and it shows his inability to sustain life. It's brilliant how God humbled these false gods. Then there's Heket, spelled Heqet, and this was the goddess of fertility, childbirth, and renewal, often depicted as a frog. Why was Heket worshipped? Frogs in those days were symbols of life and fertility in Egypt especially, and this was due to the abundance after the Nile flood. So Heket was invoked by women for protection during childbirth and also to ensure population growth. This is why the second plague, which brought an overwhelming infestation of frogs, as we see in Exodus chapter 8, this was turning a symbol of fertility into a nuisance, thus mocking Heket's control. It's brilliant. The third god or idol was Geb, G-E-B. This was known as the god of the earth and vegetation. Why was Geb worshipped? As the deity of the land, Geb was honored for providing crops and stability to Egypt's agrarian society. He was also seen as the father of other gods, linking him to creation. That is why the third plague was so important. In the third plague, turning dust into gnats or lice, as seen in Exodus chapter 8, was defiling the earth and then challenging Geb's authority over it. Because in reality, these gods had no power, as was claimed in those idol worship circles. Then the fourth idol was Khepri, spelled Khepri, and this was known as the god of creation, the morning sun, and rebirth, often depicted as a scarab beetle. Now, why was this god worshipped? These beetles in that day symbolized renewal and the daily cycle of the sun, which was vital to Egyptian cosmology and agriculture. So Khepri was worshipped for his role in sustaining life through the sun's rising every morning. That brings us to the fourth plague. In the fourth plague, God brings swarms of flies, Exodus 8. And this is possibly linked to beetles or insects disrupting Khepri's association with creation and order. It's brilliant what God did here. The fifth is Hathor, Hathor. This was known as the goddess of love, motherhood, and cattle, often depicted as a cow. Why was this goddess worshipped? Hathor was adored for protecting families and then nurturing livestock, which was a key source of wealth and sustenance in Egypt in that day. She was also linked to joy and music. That brings us to the fifth plague. In the fifth plague, God causes a disease that kills Egyptians' livestock, Exodus chapter 9. He's striking at her, by doing this, God is striking at Hathor's domain and exposing her inability to protect cattle, because when God sent this plague, she could not protect the cattle. It's brilliant. The sixth idol was known as Isis. This was the goddess of magic, healing, and protection, revered as the mother figure or as a mother figure. Why was Isis worshipped? Isis is one of Egypt's most powerful deities, worshipped for her ability to heal, protect, and use magic to aid her followers, especially in times of sickness or danger. In the sixth plague, God brings boils and sores on humans and animals, as seen in Exodus chapter number 9. And what God is doing here is negating Isis's healing powers and showing her weakness, because when the boils came, no magician could heal them. Then the seventh was Set or Seth. This was the god of chaos, storms, and the desert. Why was Seth worshipped? Seth was both feared and respected for his power over destructive forces like storms and chaos. He was also seen as a protector of Egypt against external threats. That brings us to the seventh plague. In the seventh plague, God unleashes hail and fire, Exodus chapter number 9. And what God is doing here is turning Seth's domain of storms into a tool of destruction against Egypt, not protection. And here, therefore, God could do absolutely nothing to protect them. Then the eighth idol was Nut, N-U-T, the goddess of the sky. Why was Nut worshipped? She was venerated as the mother of the stars and sun, covering the earth with her body to maintain cosmic order and protect humanity. When we see the seventh plague of hail and the ninth plague of darkness in Exodus chapter number 10, which affects the sky, God here is directly overriding Nut's supposed control over it. Because again, in that moment, Nut could do absolutely nothing for the people of Egypt. Then the ninth idol was Ra, R-A, and this was the sun god, one of Egypt's chief deities, symbolizing power and light. People worshipped Ra, for they believed that he was the creator and the ruler of the world. They worshipped him as the source of life, warmth, and order. Now, pharaohs in that day claimed that they descended from him, tying his worship to political authority. And this is why we see the ninth plague. With this plague, God brings 3 days of darkness, Exodus chapter 10. And what God is doing is extinguishing Ra's light and proving his inferiority to Yahweh. When God brought the darkness upon the earth for 3 days, Ra could do absolutely nothing. Then we have the 10th idol or deity as worshipped, or who was worshipped by the Egyptians back then. And it's Osiris. He was the god of the afterlife, resurrection, and fertility, linked to the Nile. Osiris was central to Egyptian beliefs about death and rebirth, promising eternal life to the faithful. His connection to the Nile reinforced his role in fertility. Now in the 10th plague, the death of the firstborn in Exodus 11, God strikes at Osiris' domain as Yahweh claims power over life and death, bypassing Egyptian afterlife beliefs. This is a brilliant display of God's power, God's authority, and God's sovereignty over creation and over all things. Now I want to share this episode in 3 parts. I want to talk about other gods mentioned in the Bible that were worshipped, false gods or idols. I also want to talk about the high places that we found back then and even in Christianity today. But a final thought on what we find in Exodus. We also saw Pharaoh as a god, or worshipped or revered as a god. Now the Pharaoh himself was considered divine, and it was often linked to Horus, which is the god of kingship during life, and then also Osiris, as I explained earlier, after death. So the 10th plague, killing Pharaoh's firstborn, also challenges his divine status, as he could not protect his heir. Now I think that the big question we should be asking is, why were these idols or deities worshipped? Now, Egyptians practiced what we know as polytheism, worshipping these gods to maintain cosmic order and ensure prosperity, protection, and harmony in life and the afterlife. So each deity had a specific role, and offerings or rituals were made to appease them or to gain their favor. Now, while these deities or gods are not specifically named in the Bible, their association with the plagues is a scholarly interpretation based on Egyptian religion, or rather Egyptian religion's prominence during the Exodus period. So the text focuses on Yahweh's triumph over all Egyptian deities collectively, emphasizing what we know as monotheism, and that is that there's one God, He's God over all, and He's creator of all things. So what we have in the biblical narrative or text is God's focus, or is the focus on God's triumph over these deities without needing to list individual names. So the Old Testament frequently references false gods worshipped by various nations, including Israel when they strayed into idolatry. Now, unlike the Egyptian gods, which are not explicitly named in the context of the Exodus plagues, the Old Testament does mention specific names of deities worshipped by surrounding cultures and often condemns their worship as idolatry, in contrast to the exclusive worship of Yahweh, the God of Israel. So these gods are labeled as false because they are depicted as powerless, man-made, or demonic entities incapable of rivaling Yahweh's authority. If you look at Deuteronomy chapter number 32 verses 17, Psalms chapter number 96 verses 5, and also Jeremiah chapter number 10 verses 11 as reference to what I just said. Now, in part 2 of this episode, I want to list the specific gods named in the Old Testament and share details about why they were worshipped and how they were worshipped. I also want to share before closing this episode why God continuously called His people to stay away from idol worship, to not make offerings or sacrifices to demons or these deities, and why idolatry will always lead to the downfall of a man. My name is Colin Don. This is Where Truth Matters. Until next time, take care and God bless.
You say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing.
We cannot get all the credit. We're just the messenger.
You took a shepherd boy and made him a king.
Loving God by serving people. Praising Him all day.
Free at last, He has ransomed me. His grace runs.